Okay, so I can't help but think then that the future of healthcare in Canada could be, just that integrative medicine. So, alternative medicine in tandem with conventional medicine. Is that the way things are going to be moving? Can we have confidence that that's kind of going to be the landscape of healthcare moving forward? Do you think, Joe?
I think it can be, but it's the patient who has to drive that, and because it will be a consumer-based choice.
Mm-hmm.
They will have choices. They currently have choices, but one represents a payment out of pocket at the time and fee for service.
Yeah.
The other they pay for very indirectly through their taxes. But if the consumers want it, that's what it will look like. But if we can't motivate people to do that, then we will struggle a lot more to have that alternative medicine.
What do you think has to be done, Eric, to motivate people to really respond in that regard?
I think it's happening, right?
Is it?
I mean, the reality is some boats are just slow to turn.
Sure.
Right? And you got to get enough momentum and enough people on board. And when it comes to complementary medicine and an integrative approach to medicine, you're starting to see more and more of it. We, by nature, are more conservative here in Canada.
Yeah.
It's clear the current system of healthcare is untenable, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't. It's going to run us dry. And what can be gained in the system is by people sort of exploring on their own and supporting conventional care with sort of a complementary care. Not only will help the government as far as budgeting for healthcare, but people will realize more benefit. And the truth is, as a provider, it's much more interesting for me to co-manage somebody and share and work together than just sort of be one-off and then have the patient be the middle person, in between 2-3 different providers, trying to connect the dots themselves.
So what does it look like then? What is it to bridge that communication gap from ND to MD? I mean, how do we go about that, do you think, in the future?
It's an individual, and there are some clinics, for example, Eclipse being one, and there are a couple others where you have different health providers working together for the benefit of the one patient, and they'll sit there and co-consult. And there'll be 3 of you, we'll sit there, for example, in our clinic, and there'll be a medical doctor, me, and then the patient. And everybody's on the same page, getting the same information, and taking care of what we need. And it is coming.
See, that's brilliant. That makes a lot of sense.
And the patients need to ask for it. Like he alluded to, it has to be a grassroots, because it's not going to come from higher up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's evident.
Do you think do patients know what's available to them? What could be on the table for them?
Some do, a lot don't.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get that message out. We're a very small community, and to try to purchase advertising time or some sort of media would be very difficult for us. So thank you for having us on the show.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're here to educate people.
Our community could use that help, and from the larger Alberta population to talk to your politicians about making sure that we retain our regulation status. There's no issue there, but that we enjoy, and that the citizens enjoy access to a wide variety of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'd be helpful if Alberta Health Services would maybe pick up the tab a little bit themselves. And I mean, we're paying enough tax money, I guess. I like the idea that there's many options available.
How about a refundable tax credit for the services of us, where people choose to spend it, can get some reimbursement, and it rewards those who are willing to take the step, and yet it doesn't create a huge cash flow.
And I think it pays off in twofold. You're going to have people that they'll be treated, of course, but you're going to free up space, time for MDs within the conventional medical system.
Especially the chronic patients who may be high consumers of the healthcare budget. And if we can help with chronic disease, I think we've really done a service that helps the community budget.
Yeah, reduce the burden. And that's actually predominantly, when you talk about integrative, I mean, the medical system was designed to be, the current medical system was designed to be emergent, right? That is, it's something that's happening in the here and now, it's a trauma, it's an injury, it's acute.
Yes.
That's where they excel, and diagnostics. I mean, you talk about sort of the naturopathic, sort of a complementary approach is definitely more sort of prevention and chronic care.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And you marry those and you've got a beautiful blend.
It just makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense to me. Health Canada is proposing that many natural health products be regulated with the same rules as drugs. Is this a good thing? Is that necessary?
I think there should be a regulation. I don't know that there should be the same as a pharmaceutical. I mean, there are different approaches. So when you're talking about a plant remedy, you're talking about a different constituent base than you would a pharmaceutical, which is a single active ingredient and then the fillers and whatever else.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're talking about a plant extract, it's not just one thing you're looking at. You're looking at dozens, if not hundreds, of molecules in there that actually produce the effect you're desiring.
Mm-hmm.
So to regulate makes it a challenge. Should you sort of hold it to the same regulatory procedure or refinement, you run the risk of losing the effect of that medicine, right? So I think when it comes down to like good manufacturing practices, making sure you're bringing a safe product to market, absolutely worthwhile, and we need to do that because there is a lot of garbage potentially out in the market.
Snake oil salesman, right?
Right, and you want to protect people from that, absolutely. However, the risk is potentially taking that too far. Mm-hmm. You know, in one country that's got a reasonable approach for that, and maybe we could learn from if we haven't already, is sort of Germany.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in Germany?
You know, they've been doing this for a while. I mean, you talked about homeopathy at the very beginning.
Yeah, we're a little bit.
It was developed in Germany 350 years ago.
It's just accepted. It sounds. It's more part of mainstream life, I suppose.
Well, all medical doctors in Germany are required to know homeopathy before they graduate.
Oh, is that so? That's fascinating. No idea. Same question though, Joe. Do you think Health Canada needs to take a look at regulating some of these substances?
We need to have the regulation. I am absolutely on board with quality
Yeah.
and understanding what's in the herbs. But I would want to make sure that the people who are part of that regulation understand the herbs,
Sure.
or the nutrients, because you take something and you say, well, if that active ingredient is this molecule, then it needs to have this molecule in it. And yes, but all the other 100 things in there that work synergistically to manage it need to be included in there. And I would want people who have that wisdom and knowledge and hopefully love and passion for the herbs to be part of regulating it, not somebody who's looking at it from a different eye if they don't understand it. But I do want regulation because there are products on the shelf that don't fit the bill, and those need to be taken off.
So it might make sense for them to maybe draw some regulation in tandem with potentially a host of naturopathic doctors, right? Seems
one would hope that's who's invited to the table.
Kind of not the way things always go, as we know in government.
That's my fear.
Yeah, of course. I think we'd be remiss not to talk a little bit about marijuana. So marijuana, of course, will be legal in Canada within the next, I guess 6 months or so now. At least that's the plan. Where does it fall into all this? I mean, is marijuana, in your opinion, Eric, is it a legitimate alternative medicine, as it stands now?
So I'll sort of qualify it a bit before I step forward.
Okay.
I mean, part of it was not anything we were ever taught or shown, right?
Weed was off the table.
No, it was off the table as far as the education. As far does it have validity for use within a clinical setting? Absolutely, and it's been shown that.
I think
right?
so.
It just has a little bit of stigma around it, obviously, but clearly, not only from a purely empirical, so from observation and sort of clinical exposure, but research has been shown to have clear beneficial effects as far as pain, as far as stimulating appetite, as far as potentially anti-cancer properties, and those need to be explored further.
Hard to argue with that. And gentlemen, I'm going to actually have to make that our final word. I want to thank you both very much for being here today and taking the time. We do appreciate it. Folks, that's all the time we have for today. As always, you can get at us. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. If you got a show idea, don't be a stranger. Let us know. Until then, take care. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.